Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Vivid. Now, before we get started, I just want to, this is not my epilepsy warning, it's the game's epilepsy warning. I want to reiterate it though and draw attention to it. This game does contain flashing lights and intense movements that could possibly, under less than ideal circumstances, trigger epileptic seizures. So if you are worried about the possibility of that happening, you might not want to watch this video, but this is Vivid. I'm going to press the Z key. I'm trying to get used to calling it Z instead of Z, which makes me feel terrible as a Canadian citizen. But anyway, this is a game from the Layabouts, and it's a free game, and I've been trying to do a lot more free content on the channel, because I know that you guys are really interested in seeing games that cost literally zero money that you could just play right now, basically. And I got this in my inbox from one of the guys on the Layabouts team. It's a game that apparently came out a couple of years ago, but is now getting kind of a re-release or a redistribution on a game website called Game Jolt. And in any case, most of the time, I get these games in my inbox and I don't have time to play them, but I just randomly had a weird stretch of time when I got this email, so I decided, you know what, we're gonna jump into Vivid, and I had a surprisingly good time. I think a lot of people might be interested in this. So, it's a very, I would call it a small-scale concept game, in the sense that this is a very much a traditional platformer with, like, one gimmick thrown in. So, the story, which actually is important, I guess, and does play into, some of the game's atmospheres, that we're playing as this guy named Bert, and Bert is taking some kind of medicine. This medicine is messing with his perspective and causing him to have some serious problems. In any case, that was Bert on day one, and we're going to see how Bert regresses or progresses as things go along. So, we're speaking to the doctor right now, who is the only other character in the game as far as I know. Here's our first dosage of the medicine. Take with water before bed. Come back next week, same time, and we will review how you're doing. If you got any problems, just stop in. We're usually not too busy in the mornings, etc., etc. So I'm going to skip through most of that dialogue for now, because it's not that important until we get a little bit further. Now, already on day two, you're going to get a feel for what the kind of gimmick for Vivid is. So the way that this works is basically the game is broken up into a series of days, and every single day, we're going to have some new kind of like mental ailment to deal with. So day two here, we're getting pretty shaky, resisting the temptation to make a very cheap and easy Michael J. Fox joke. But it's not too bad, you know, it's still fairly easy to platform. I promise you, things are going to get much more tricky as we move along. This is actually probably my least favorite day of, like, the 9 that I've played, because it gives me incredible motion sickness, but, you know, knowing that this is happening to you guys too, I'm probably just going to skip through this for a bit. So I'm skipping through a lot of this dialogue for now, which is maybe not the best way to represent the game, but the reason I'm doing it is so we can see more of the gimmicks. Basically, this is a game that is constantly presenting us with gimmicks, and actually this one is one of my favorites. It kind of reminds me of, like, the super big world in Super Mario Land 2, but in any case, we're, like, super zoomed in on our character. So for the most part, we're just kind of winging it, and things are gonna seem a little bit easy at the start here, but I've probably played about 25 minutes of Vivid so far, and believe you me, things will get much more difficult. We basically, I got to one point in the game where I was like, the gimmick got so difficult for me that I was like, oh, fuck off. But I, kind of like a good fuck off, if that makes any sense. Like, this is I'm not going to necessarily say it's one of the best games I've ever played, but it's one of the most intriguing free platformers I've played in a long time. Mostly in the sense that it controls very well, and a lot of times when I play free platformers, I'm just like, I play for like 3 seconds and I'm like, doesn't feel good, like, sorry, I'm not interested. But this game controls well, and the gimmick is enough to keep me coming back, because, you know, as you can see here, the levels are only about, you know, a minute or so long, depending on how well you do. Which means you're constantly seeing new stuff at any given moment. So please sit down and relax. Obviously, we can't see everything here, but he's reminding us of the paperwork that we signed. Something, something, something. You can understand we can't allow potential something public. It really wouldn't something. People wouldn't trust us. Are you listening, Bert? I'm a doctor, and you have to listen to what I say. It's very important, so pay attention. We are gonna push all of our problems down deep inside, not tell the doctor until they manifest as some kind of terrible mental illness, but I still feel it would be wise to maintain daily visitation, however, at least until you're further into the program. Fine by me. Now, I believe this one is, I'm not gonna say obvious, but, you know, something that we probably expect to see coming. The game gets very disorienting at times, which, if you do suffer from motion sickness, as I sometimes do, can be a real problem. Day 2 gave me a lot of motion sickness, and then there's one a little bit later that is quite a problem as well. I actually don't know how far the game gets. This is maybe an unfair expectation, but I expect that because it's free, it's probably fairly short. We can do this. Excellent. But I can't say with 100% certainty that that is indeed the case. But I've gotten as far as day 9, which I stopped at because he's my favorite StarCraft 2 caster. That's such a poser thing to say. I've never watched a single StarCraft 2 caster my entire life, but I know that he's a very famous internet media personality. Oh, that was so close. Try this again. This will get more difficult, by the way. It might seem like it's pretty easy right now. I assure you, my feelings at the very least changed as I got further into the game. Come on, we can do this. Hit the down arrow and then the up arrow. Come on. Good music as well, actually. I think the music in this is very well done. And the main strength of this game, at least in my opinion so far, that was actually really well done there. The main strength of this game is that it controls well, and it doesn't punish you for deaths, which is something that I bring up a lot in these meant-to-be difficult platforming-type games. As long as it doesn't punish you for dying too much, then dying doesn't feel super frustrating unless it happens like 50 times in a row. It's not to say the game, again, it is easy because of this. It just makes the game a more fun experience overall. So let's turn our head to the side here. If that doesn't work, then laugh. Laughter is the best medicine, of course. I said so myself, and I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor too. Ha 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 ha. I can't turn my head that far. But you're still looking down, Bert, old boy. Or is it up? I can't quite remember. I just read that without even turning my head at all. Is this any better? It is. My mistake then. We'll go with this instead. So I take it you're here for the pills, eh? You sure you should keep taking those? It's a little clarity worth this much trouble. Well, I think it is. I want the clarity. I don't want this. Oh, this is the one that causes me an incredible degree of motion sickness. So we are going to get a kind of lazy rocking back and forth as if we are on some kind of seaworthy vessel. And the real problem with this one, and I don't mean problem in a, like, is this game good sense, I mean problem in a how do I get to the end of the level sense, is that when things tilt to the right, everything moves much, much faster, and when they go back to the left, everything is real slow, which kind of changes your perception of how hard you should hit the button or how long you should hold the button down in order to get where you want to be. And it is very, very disorienting. It might look like I'm just bad right now, or that the game is just having substantial frame rate issues. I believe you me, this is intentional on the part of the game right now, but so far so good. It's amazing to me how much easier this, oh, fuck you. I remember this part now. Oh, no, wait, this is the part where things don't get truly awful. There's a truly heinous gimmick. This one just kind of messes with us a little bit. It might seem like it's crazy, but eventually we're just gonna get like sucked through a portal, and then we will start on another level. But when I first encountered this for the very first time, I was like, oh cool, so fuck you, game. There's absolutely no way I can beat this spinning level. This is one where gravity is huge for us. So the gimmick on this level, you might not be able to see it too well, but everything is much, much smaller. In addition, gravity is like really, really strong, and I believe the longer we hold down the button to move without giving ourselves a break, the more static appears on the screen, so the harder it is to see everything, which is both frustrating and kind of awesome, I feel. Now, there are no like mid-level checkpoints, so if you mess up halfway through, that sucks for you. But for the most part, you know, honestly, the kind of mechanical patterns you need to enter to succeed at these jumping puzzles are not all that difficult. A lot of them are just hold the button as long as possible, if that makes any sense. Like, hold the left button and you'll hit all the platforms just through design, I guess. Let's try to get all the way up here. There we go. Now don't fuck it up. I fucked it up. Let's try this again. Nope. Nope. I can't believe I got to day 9 on this. No, I probably could have made that one work. Couldn't have made that one work. Come on. You can hit it. There we go. Okay, now land in here. That was very close. I landed on like the 1 pixel where I didn't hit spikes. This one shouldn't be too bad. There we go. And then we'll try this again up over here. Not too shabby. Northernlion may suck at video games, but I suck least at platformers in my opinion. Except for Gianna Sisters, but maybe we shouldn't go down that road right now. Oh, I hit the ceiling. Okay, let's try this again. This is almost, I would hesitate to describe it as a horror game, but there are horror elements when we start talking to the doctor more and more often. Oh yes, okay. So we're back at our standard gimmick, except we're rolling around here. Kind of if I was to compare this to a premium or, you know, retail indie game, it reminds me most of VVV, but almost a kind of non-standard comparison. It's a little bit like The Adventures of Shuggy, which a lot of you might not be familiar with unless you watched my video or are, you know, big into the indie game scene. But it was basically like a platforming game where every different level had its own kind of unique gimmick for how to solve the level. But more people are going to be familiar with VVV for sure. I'm not sure if that was an influence involved in the creation of this game. I mean, it's really mechanically simplistic. I mean, like, it is not necessarily the most elegant solution to a platform game to have, like, you know, like, legitimately arrows or literal arrows just kind of pointing upwards to give you a boost. But, you know, that being said, it's fun enough in its own right, especially considering it is available for free. And this is why I, you know, considered describing this to a certain extent as a horror game, because this doctor, who may or may not be real, maybe is just a manifest of her own mental illness or something, starts to get creepier and creepier as we move forwards. So let me see here. Again, I'm not reading through the text necessarily because I want to save something for the people who do choose to play through this themselves. And, you know, it seems like a fairly short game, so I'd encourage you to do that if you're interested. So he's just basically, we're going through a cycle of conversation here where he keeps telling us, hey, haven't seen you in a long time. It's good to see you show up for once. Better start getting serious. This is where he starts talking about his big crab claws. Hello, Bert. Good morning. How are you feeling? Listen, I know that you've been somewhat intimidated by a lot of these new responsibilities after starting our trial, so I understand why you haven't been showing up as often. Really, I do. But I know you can do better than this, Bert, and I know that you want to do better. So I'm asking you to just try a little harder to stay on top of things. It won't get any easier unless you start opening up. And if you could just have those TPS reports on my desk by tomorrow morning, that would be great. Okay. I will try indeed. Bert is going to try. So he expects to see me first thing in the morning. We're on day 6 now? Day 6, okay. I believe, actually, this is the one I was talking about earlier, where the longer we walk, the more staticky things get. So this is going to be a little trickier. We're going to try to hit the keys in short bursts as opposed to sustained intervals. Otherwise, we will not be able to see anything. Let's try this again. I wish I could make that jump. I should be able to make it really easily, but I think, you know, the mechanics in every platform game are a little bit different. I think what I want to do this one is... Seriously? This should not be super difficult for me. I don't understand why this is so hard. I can make that. There we go. And then we just do that. Alright, never mind. Tirade is accepted for now. Okay, so let's just try this. Very important whenever possible to let off on the jump button. Otherwise, static will fill up the screen to a degree where it is literally impossible for me to see what's going on, which is a little bit frustrating. But, you know, to be honest, frustration is almost like a mechanic in this game. Like, it's the intention of the designers, I think. Or the developers, I guess I should say. Not in the same sense as, like, an I want to be the guy or something, but more of like, oh, come on. Make this easier on me. I want to be the guy is more... I don't... Frustration is something, but I also feel like exasperation is something they were going for there. This is more like the game is inconveniencing me, but it's doing so intentionally, which I guess gives it more of a pass. As opposed to, you know, something inconveniencing me, for example, not to, you know, be timely or anything, but with always online DRM making it so the servers don't work. At least this is intentional and done in the name of art or something. So we finished this day. This day was one of the more annoying ones, but that's okay. Alright, so now he's gonna start talking to me. Have you ever looked at your hands, Bert? Hands are very strange things, aren't they? These stumps, they turn into claws, gaping maws, just hungry, and you take your thumb, and you press it against his skull. Again, you know, things get a little bit scary here. It's kind of a superficial element of horror, but it's a little creepy, you know, the constant, like, staticky sounds and the intervals at which it takes place. The shaking text is a little bit contrived. Birds. Birds. Okay, I'm not going to continue this, but he's going to continue it. I don't know what happens. We'll probably play one more day. Yeah, this is the day I wanted to show off, actually, because this is the point where I was like, alright, game. I get what you're doing here. There's actually a game like this on PSN. I forget what it is called, though. But basically, every one of these quadrants is a quarter of the game screen that has thus been rearranged. And it makes platforming super difficult, but it also makes for, in my opinion, one of the more unique levels in the entire thing here. How am I supposed to... Is that... Okay, I got it. Because you have to, like, seriously change up how you think about the game in order to succeed at this point. You want to go here. I got it. Okay, straight up. Like that, and then down through the chasm. over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. My grandmother lived in a place that required this kind of nonsense to get to her. Sorry, Granny, but you can go fuck yourself. We want to jump over, I guess. Okay. I just told my grandmother to fuck off in a YouTube video. Because that's just the kind of guy I am. Now how do we want to do this? Do we want to fall? Oh, we want to fall, but then move to the right. Okay, I think I got it. This will probably be the last day that I'll cover over the course of the video. Just in case it is only 10 days long, I'll give you guys who actually want to play it yourselves the chance to do so. But I will put a link in the video description. I know, generally speaking, you know, numbers don't lie, and you know, many of you enjoy these looks at free games. So I'm going to try to make an effort more often to show off free games. You know, like Skullface, Risk of Rain, games that are really good, but also don't cost any money. In addition to the other Let's Look Ats, of course. And seriously, how good is Risk of Rain, right? So I gotta fall, and there we go. Okay, we made it work, and then straight through the end. So I think that's gonna do it for my Let's Look At of Vivid. It's a game that I think is gonna be a little divisive, and that's kind of understandable given the fact that frustrating the player is one of the mechanics that shows up a lot. But in any case, I think it's definitely worth playing if you're interested in playing kind of a mixture between a puzzle platform and a traditional platform, or something that will F with your perspective. And if you don't have epilepsy and you want to play the game, I would encourage you to go check out the link to the game in the video description below. You can download it for free, as I said. Anyway, as always, this has been Let's Look At Vivid. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.